Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We know it's been a while for this series, but yeah, we're really happy to be back today. Today is September 14th, 2023. This is episode number 76. We're going to be talking about tools today that will help you run your business and make you more efficient. We have a lot to get to, and I'm really excited to introduce our guest, who is a returning MasterAdvisor guest and one of the favorites we've had so far. But first, I want to make a couple of announcements, and I do want to introduce our sponsor today. I know we have some new viewers. So first, welcome. And second, just a couple tips to get the most out of today's episode. You're going to be wanting to switch into speaker view, which you can do through the Zoom. That's going to be the best way to watch today's session. And then you're also going to want to have the chat on the bottom right open. I see some comments in there already. We'll do our best to grab some questions and comments as we go along today. We do have a lot to get to, so we might not be able to get to all the questions and comments, but we'll do our best to get to the most relevant ones. We're also going to do our best to drop some links in there. So if you do want information on some of these tools we talk about, you can get it on their websites and things like that. I also want to announce that we'll be back on September 28th to talk luxury travel, and we're really excited and happy to have Vanessa McGovern from Gifted Travel Network as our guest for that one. This will be Vanessa's first time on MasterAdvisor, and we're really excited to have her. We have already opened registration, so if you do want to get a head start, I see Tom drop the link in the chat right now, so you can go ahead and register for that, and you'll be ready to come back here in a couple weeks. And the last thing before I welcome our sponsor, I just want to drop the link to our YouTube channel in the chat. Like I mentioned, this is the first episode back after a small summer break. I believe our last episode aired in early August. We're going to be updating that page regularly through the end of the year. So getting on there, subscribing, liking the videos, that'll be the best way to make sure you catch all of our video content from us. And it also helps us grow this community, which we're really proud of. I'm really excited to sort of carry with us through the end of the year here. So if you want to check that out, that's in the chat too. And then, yeah, without further ado, I'm also really excited to have Daniel Durazo, who's the Director of External Communications at Allianz Partners here, who's sponsoring today's session. And Dan's going to talk to us a little bit about Allianz before we welcome in our guest.
Hey, Dan, thanks for that intro. And I was just thinking, when you have two Dans on a webinar, you know it's going to be an outstanding webinar. So it's good to be with you all today. I'm really excited to hear what Carrie has to share with everyone. I know that all the technology ins and outs of your business, our business, are super important in this day and age. So we're really pleased to be able to sponsor this really informative webinar. So thanks for having us. I do also want to give a quick plug, Dan. We're launching a new website this week. It's called AllianzAdvantage.com, and it's a new one-stop resource for travel advisors. It's all the things travel advisors need to know to offer our products and to help explain our products. And it's got all the links to all the resources that we offer to make offering products easy and efficient. And just to give you a quick overview, there's a media center in AllianzAdvantage.com. We've got advisor and customer stories. So if you're looking for those types of stories about why travel insurance can help, that's the place for it. We've got news and updates about products, technology, awards, other stuff that we do. We've also got details about industry events and webinars, including this one today is on AllianzAdvantage.com. We've got blog posts, articles, and audio and video for advisors. That's all in the media center. We've also got a help center, which is really, really helpful. It's got details and access about our Agent Max online booking platform, which is an award-winning platform that we have that helps travel advisors book travel insurance for their valued clients, including the tools which I think fit in with today's discussion. Quote Max and Max Mail, our digital brochure tool. Those are all advanced marketing capabilities that we provide. We've also got Sherpa destination requirements and links to our Travel Smart mobile app, which is a great app you can take on your phone, and you can bring your policy with you right on your phone. You don't have to carry around any paper. So all that stuff is at AllianzAdvantage.com. If you're not a partner yet, you can use our Become a Partner tool on there to sign up to offer our products. And we're really excited to launch this new website because we think it's really going to be handy for everybody out there that wants to learn more about travel insurance. And really what we think it helps travel advisors do is really show their value in a way that can be really helpful in case something happens either before or after the trip, or during the trip rather, that may impact that trip. So happy to be part of today's discussion and happy to roll out that new website. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. And yeah, we do have two Dans. I see a Danielle and another Dan in the attendee list too. So a lot of Dans today. But we're really excited to have Allianz, and thank you for that. Yeah, so like Dan mentioned, today we're going to talk about tools to work smarter and faster. I know time is of the essence for so many travel advisors, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But we're hoping that these tools can maybe help you streamline some things, help you manage your time, manage your workflow. And to do that, we're really happy to have Carrie Dyer here, for the Chief Development Officer at Brandnell Travel. Carrie, I know you joined us maybe in 2020. That was a really early episode, and we're really excited to have you back. So like I mentioned, I know time is of the essence. So first, I want to just thank you for coming back and yeah, leading us through this discussion.
Hi, Dan. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm delighted to be back.
All right. So I know we have a lot to get to. I want to jump right in because I know I see a lot of people are here, and I want to get to a lot of the things we have. And I have some other things I'd love to ask you. Maybe we'll say that to the end because I know we only have 45 minutes or so. But we're going to go through 10 plus tools today. We're going to do our best to drop the links in the chat for people who maybe hear something that they want to look further into. And I know we talked earlier in the week, and you sort of separated the tools that you use and that your team uses into a few categories. And the first one we want to start out with is marketing. I know everyone uses their own marketing tools, but hopefully these will help them maybe expand their horizons. And the first one that you mentioned that you thought maybe would be a good thing to bring up was Plan That. And let's just jump right in there and maybe talk a little bit about that.
Sure, I would love to. Do you mind if I back up just 1 second as it relates to working smarter, not harder, and technology? Do you mind?
No, please go ahead.
Okay. I think it's important for everyone to keep in mind that working smarter, not harder is a practice. And it's something that we all have to remind ourselves on a regular basis. I think we can all be hard on ourselves because you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, if I could list the number of books that I've read or seminars that I've attended about working harder, not smarter, and working smarter, not harder, what am I doing wrong? Why do I have to keep reminding myself of this? You do have to keep reminding yourself of this. It's like anything in your life that is organization or a practice, whether it's exercise or eating correctly, or, each spring you reorganize that sock drawer, and by the time the end of the year comes, it's a mess. So it's okay to think about this once a year and to remind yourself about it, get yourself back into the good habits, especially as it relates to our business. I would say our spring cleaning time is actually probably right about now. So things are tailing off from our super busy first quarter, our summer season. It's before things start ramping up in December with our festive travelers. Fall is really the spring cleaning time for us in our industry. And so I think that this topic was perfectly timed. So
well,
I just kind of want to put that out.
Just quickly on that, Carrie, I know, like I mentioned, we're going to go through a lot of things today. Do you have any recommendations? Like, I feel some attendees might be overwhelmed if we give them too much information, but do you have any recommendations for taking this and doing something with it once we wrap up here today?
Yes, I would say, one, if you have something that's working for you, don't feel pressured. It is impossible to keep up with every new tool that is out there, especially as we talk about AI. I mean, holy smokes, the world and the possibilities are endless right now. And so one, I would say if you have something that works, and even if you think it's old school, if it works, use it. Don't be shamed into not having the latest and greatest thing that comes along. The second thing is do your homework. And this I was reminded by my colleague who is considerably younger than me, and she was very kind in referring to my generation, but Gen Xers, we don't like to do a lot of research. We may do rabbit holing as far as, getting to places, but as far as self-learning, watching YouTube videos, any kind of application that you have on their websites, they have so many training videos. There's so many places to go for information. And we just kind of want to dive in and we want it to work. And then when it doesn't, we're frustrated and we go away. I'm speaking for myself, but I think others may be able to relate. And her great advice was, there are resources and informations of videos. They're 5 minutes long. They're 3 minutes long. Take the time and read through them, see what resonates with you, and grab that info. The other thing is crowdsource, ask. You know, and within Brownell, Slack is our main communication platform, but we have an entire channel dedicated to apps and tools. And so it's where people are sharing what works. It's where people are asking questions. So whatever forum that is that you belong to, ask the questions and get the feedback.
Yeah, and again, I know we're gonna go through a lot today, so hopefully if you could take just a few things out of this, maybe that's a good way to do it. But again, I know people are gonna ask in the chat, so this will be recorded and we'll have it up on TMR's YouTube page pretty soon, later today, early tomorrow morning. So if you do want to rewatch this, you can. But yeah, Carrie, let's get right into it.
Sure.
I mentioned Planet. I know that's a social media tool.
Yeah.
And I know social media is a big topic for advisors. Can you tell us a little bit about Planet?
Yes. So how I would say, so there are 4 main tools that within our community people are using. And you've got Plan That, which is actually now just going by Plan, but their website is planthat.com, but they're referring to themselves as Plan. And then there's Planoly, Hootsuite, and Tailwinds. And so I would divvy up Plan and Planoly in one category and Hootsuite and Tailwinds in another. Plan and Planoly are for people who are social media people. They enjoy it. They like it. They conceptualize. They have the design eye, and they really enjoy digging into social media and what that presentation is going to look like, how it relates to their brand. What I love about it is the deep design feature, and also how you can create an entire editorial calendar of what you want to do. So you may be traveling on a trip and you don't want to do 7 consecutive posts about Ireland. You know, 2's good. Yeah. We know you're in Ireland. Tell me something I don't know. I'm ready for a new idea. I'm ready for new visuals. You can create those posts while you're in Ireland, while it's top of mind, have your quote in there. Actually, Plan actually has AI that will create your caption for you if you wanted to, based on what the photo is and sort of the imagery that you're trying to convey. So it's a neat way for someone who's good at social media, enjoys it, that you can create a long list of posts that you're going to use, and you may decide to repost your trip from Ireland on St. Patrick's Day or whatever that looks like. So you can save that and not have to trigger your brain 6 months later to come back and do it. Hootsuite and Tailwinds are for people who are not super in love with social media and it's less creative. There certainly is a creative component to it, but it's more about the scheduling. It's more about getting you disciplined to set up what these posts are going to look like, to have them automate. Everybody should have a consistency in what your posting looks like, no matter what your forum is. If you're Facebook, if you're Instagram, if you're LinkedIn, if you're Pinterest, whatever it is that you're using, you should have consistency so that your followers know when to expect something that's coming. And those are all planning tools for you to take care of it. A, for consistency, and B, if you are on the road and you aren't planning, or you're on your own vacation and you're not posting, it allows you to do it.
Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, that it does, like you mentioned, it seems the Plan That, Planoly versus the other two, it seems depending on your personality, you'll prefer one or the other. But the big thing seems to be the scheduling, being able to be consistent. Maybe the hour you use per week or a couple hours you use per week on social media, you can get 7 days of work done. That seems the big thing. Yeah.
It is. And I think that because you and I talked about time blocking a little bit earlier, but you know, for people to be creative, I always recommend that you block out whatever it is, 2 hours a week that you do, and you're in that mode, and then you're inspired and things just kind of come to you once you're able to think about it. And so then you do a dump and then you don't need to come back to it. And there was a question. Yeah. Planoly. Perfect. Thank you, Margaret.
Yeah. So I know we want to talk about email next, but I'm just curious, Carrie, I heard a lot about Hootsuite. It seems like a lot of people use that. Have you, with the other tools, have you heard about any trends or any growing popularity with any of them? Or is it, again, does it just depend on your personality, the way you work, the way your team works, things like that?
I would say that Hootsuite is just continuing to evolve who they are. And I think that they've determined that they've got their niche and they're good at what they do. I think the plan and the Planolyes are the ones who are taking that a step further. And I actually appreciate Hootsuite that they're not trying to be different than who they are, that they've determined their niche, they have the right people, and the people who use it, appreciate it, and know it. And then if you are more of that creative person, the Planolyes or the plans work.
Yeah, and I know I've read a lot about this change in Twitter and a tool called TweetDeck going away, and it seems people are being pushed to Hootsuite from that. So I think I've heard a lot about it. Maybe that's why I've heard a lot about Hootsuite.
Maybe I have to be honest. I am not, X is not on my radar at
Yeah.
all. So I cannot speak to that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess the social medias, and again, Hootsuite, FanDat, Planoly, Tailwinds, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, those are all available via those tools,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes, 100%.
All right. All right. So Cindy, hopefully we'll talk about, I can maybe grab that question at the end. I do want to move on because I know we have a lot to get to. I want to move on to email, email marketing in particular, because that seems to be even a bigger funnel for a lot of travel advisors. And there's some tools. I know a lot of advisors have their own tools they use for email marketing, whether it's their own personal tool they use through their host or their consortia, but there's a couple other tools we'll be able to use if you're looking for something new, right?
Correct. And this is one place where I would encourage people who have been doing this for a while. If you're still using something like a MailChimp, I would encourage you to up your game. No offense to MailChimp if anybody is from there on this call, but I would say that there are better options out there that have greater depth and greater ability to take things off your plate.
Okay.
And so with those, Flowdesk and Constant Contact seem to be the two that are priority for a majority of our advisors. We use Constant Contact, and so we have a way of collaboration with the content that we do in the advisor. So that's a lot of the reason why we encourage it. But Constant Contact is very easy to use. They have templates that you can create that are easy. Your uploading of your client lists is very easy. So hopefully all of you are capturing names on your website. You're adding people to your spreadsheet and you've got new names. You upload it from Excel into Constant Contact. Flowdesk, same. Every time that you're going to resend, it won't duplicate. It just helps keep your lists clean. So I like that about it. I like the templates are very easy. You can, it speaks to Canva. I know we're not going to talk about Canva, but a lot of the Canva designs fit very easily into Constant Contact. And so it's just, it's very, very efficient. Flowdesk, I would say, is a little bit more advanced. Again, it speaks more to marketers, people who have that as a past experience, who are very good at it, who have greater expectations of their marketing, maybe than just, I'm a travel person who needs to do marketing versus a marketing person who's gotten into travel.
So I've used Constant Contact a lot before. And you mentioned when we were talking about social media, there was an AI component, and this might be a question that you're not super familiar with, or you might not know the answer, but are you aware of any new AI technology going into email marketing, whether it's Flowdesk, Constant Contact, or something else in general? Because I know a lot of advisors are starting to use AI to write marketing copy, and it seems like a perfect fit for some of these programs.
It does. My only hesitation on that is that the AI is very good on picking up on themes and to auto generate related to a theme. Okay. What I don't believe they've gotten great at yet is your voice. And your voice is so important when you're doing marketing, because listen, I mean, how many people are on this call? There are 111 of us that are all opportunities to book travel. Why are they booking with you? Because you're you. And so your voice is really an important part in any of the marketing that you do. So if you do lean into AI to do the content development for you, great, but go back and craft it in a way so that it assumes your voice would be the recommendation that I would give.
Yeah, and I know AI is like a whole nother thing completely, and hopefully maybe in the future we can do one of these on AI in particular. I did want to ask, so Constant Contact does a lot of consumer marketing now, and they seem to focus on how well they report results to the users.
Yes.
Yeah, that's obviously important for advisors too, right?
Huge. And that actually, that's one of the cool components of Flowdesk. So when you are, you have your regular email campaigns that you do. Flowdesk has a way for you to auto trigger emails to go out based on, so if Dan does this, then this next email is going to go. So if Dan clicks this, then I have this other email that I've already created that's sitting here, then that's going to auto trigger and send this to Dan. If he does this, then this is going to auto trigger. I think that's pretty sophisticated. But what is cool about it is that you can then, the app will pull the data to suggest to you things that you can do differently. So I think that that's cool. But if you don't know what you don't know, that might be too much information, that if it's too much, it becomes worthless. But Constant Contact, their data is outstanding. So it is letting you know, your open rate, your click-through rates. Flowdesk will even tell you the captions. So like your subject lines related to how to adjust your subject line to get a greater open rate next time. So I would say Flowdesk is, sort of that level up on that, but Constant Contact data is fantastic as well. And you do want to pay attention to that. Pull the data. It's a quick dashboard. It's easy. It's colorful. It's a pie chart, and it tells you, here's your open rate. Here's your click-through rate. And, I think Sanka's on here. Maybe she can remind me, but I mean, if you have anything over a 29% open rate and above like a 7% click-through rate, you're doing great.
Yeah, I know, we have a couple questions about Constant Contact. And I know that's valuable to, we used to use it at TMR, and I know how valuable that can be. So I guess the two questions in one, they go together, one from Richard, one from Dwayne. It's just about the cost of Constant Contact. And Dwayne asks if MailChimp, if the cost may be too high for Constant Contact, if they would consider MailChimp as an alternative.
I would also say you get what you pay for. And marketing is critical to what you do. I also just want to give a plug to, we had some sentiment within our community of, I'm so busy, I don't want to market. I don't want to market. And because I don't want people calling me. They're getting confused. Advertising is short plugs to get people to call you. Marketing is a continuous education and communication about your brand. So sure, you're busy. Sure, you're worried about leads you're going to get, but you must have consistency in your marketing and how you are presenting your business to the world. So just don't confuse the two. So I would just say, I think Constant Contact does a great job, and I think it's worth the money.
Yeah, and it does seem you need that data to know how you're, especially when you're communicating primarily through email, you're going to need the data coming from Constant Contact or Flowdesk. So it
absolutely
does seem,
and it's not truly, it's not a lot of number crunching. You don't have to have had a marketing degree to dig through it. It's, like I said, it's a dashboard. It's colorful. It's easy to read.
All right, so we have those two links in the chat. I want to move on to our last component of marketing, which is website marketing. I know all the advisors I speak to have their own websites. I know a lot of them built them from scratch. A lot of them built them their own. And I saw some comments that we have some new advisors to the industry, so this might be pertinent to them. But talk to us a little bit about website marketing tools, website building, maybe places people can start their journey off on.
Sure. So there have been a lot of creative, smart people out there who are offering to make websites for you. And I think it's fantastic. So if you don't want to curate your own through your own web designer and you want to lean into a company that has several templates that you can choose from, I say go for it. What I would say, if you are curating your own website designer who's creating your own website, pick a tool that you can update. So often they have this fabulous web designer who comes up with this website and they can't change a caption. They can't change out photos. They can't do their own blogs. If that's the case, then you've wasted your money. We all know that the way that your website remains relevant is by having fresh, new content all the time. Google loves the new content. So by you swapping out photos and adding your blogs and putting new content in there, that is going to help elevate your SEO on your website. So if you're trapped and you can't do that yourself, it really defeats the purpose. So that is sort of my point of choose an application that you feel comfortable in being able to swap out and add new information to. Two things that the main websites that our advisors are using are Squarespace and WordPress, which everybody knows, but Show It is also a new one.
Okay.
And it's pretty cool as far as the templates that are there. It also works well with Canva. There is a sort of AI intuitive component to it as well. And so it's pretty cool. It still relies on WordPress for blogs, so they do sort of marry together. But if you are someone who is a design junkie, Show It is kind of a newer, cool website application.
All right, so we have the links to the websites in the chat. I see someone asks about it. I'm curious, Carrie, just the way you speak about websites, what is your philosophy for the reasoning behind, or why it's so important for advisors or an agency to have a website? Is it to drive clients to your agency? Is it for your current clients? Like what do you think is, if you had to say, would be the primary reason behind having a website, updating it and making sure it looks nice?
I agree with Melinda. I think it is more about social proof than anything. The number of leads that you're going to get from your website that are cold leads, I mean, I don't know, maybe, but it's more for referrals. I mean, this is silly, but when I moved to Dallas, I went on to every website of silly hairdressers that people recommended to me. I mean, that's a hairdresser. People are spending $40,000 on a trip. So even though there's a referral, they're going to go to your website. They want to see about the details you have on your website. If your website doesn't have a lot of details, are you going to be detail oriented on my trip? If it's not up to date, do you really know what the latest and greatest destinations are? Can you send me to the Dolomites? I don't know. Also, you want to put testimonials on there. This is a great place for you to brag a little bit. Any of your clients would be delighted to share information there. It's also a great place to include your links to your social media. So maybe they went to the website just for quick social proof because someone recommended you, but now they're following you. And now and hopefully they have clicked your option of joining the mailing list. So for me, it is less about the cold leads and more about the reassurances of the referrals that you're going to get from your existing clients.
It's interesting you talk about referrals, and I just want to ask a quick question before we move on. I had an advisor I was speaking to who grew her business through reviews on Yelp and reviews on Google. I mean, is that something you've heard that's pretty common? It seemed like a unique case, but I know when people do Google you, when they look for that proof of ability, those things tend to come up pretty high in the search results.
They do. Probably less Yelp, only because Yelp feels a little more transactional than, because people are more fickle on Yelp. They're looking for the latest and the greatest and what's new. And maybe I'm going to go to that restaurant once, check it off, and then keep going. I do think that Google reviews, they can be powerful. I think it feels more generic than if you get them to your website, or, if you're a part of any of your consortia, or, different places where you can put reviews that I think really matter. I think that's more of it for me.
So we're doing okay on time. So I do want to ask the question Cindy brought up a little earlier, because I promised I would, but she just asked about repeating recycling posts on social media. I know you're not like a specific social media person, Carrie, but do you have any thoughts on that? I mean, reusing posts, maybe programming a post to go out once every however many months or so.
Yes, I love it. I'm also a big fan of going backwards. Post something of you when my kids are 13 and 12, but to go back and post something when they were 5 and 6, now I'm reminding people that I can do young travel, or photos of my honeymoon or clients' honeymoons from long ago, and so it doesn't have to be about the latest trip you just went on. It can be related to anything. And if you posted about the trip to Italy that you did last year, and now you're remembering Italy last year, but you're taking a different photo or a different idea, I think it's great to repost content. I wouldn't do it too close together so that people have fatigue and then they get bored with you and they're not wanting to follow as much. But yes, people have short memories. They don't remember, and any beautiful picture is going to resonate with them.
All right. So The next topic we want to tackle, and again, we have 20 minutes left. So again, we'll grab some questions as we go along, but organization and task management, I know it's going to be incredibly important now with the way things are coming into travel advisors mailboxes and things like that. I know there's a lot of tools for this. I was hoping we could talk about a few.
Sure.
Google Wordsuite, Trello, Calendly. I know these are all some people might be familiar with these, but if you could just give us a short introduction to each one and then maybe why or how they should use it.
Yes, absolutely. So organization and task management is really the baseline of everything that you should have organized in your business. And this really is the sock drawer. Honestly, you need to look at this every year and ensure that what you have is meeting your needs. I don't know, sometimes I'll get too sophisticated of a system and then I don't use it. And then I'm back to writing it down and I've just lost the whole point. So do reevaluate what you're using. Oh, and by the way, if writing it down is your system, there's nothing wrong with that. Just a little plug for Remarkable. I think that that's a super cool tool as far as if you're someone who likes to write things down, but then it captures it and then you can save it electronically. I think that that's brilliant. So Workspace. I think a lot of people are used to the Microsoft 365 suite because we came from corporations and that's what we know. But I found that most entrepreneurs are very, very happy with Google Workspace. It used to be G Suite and now it's Google Workspace. So they're the same thing, but you get a lot in that bundle for just subscribing to that. What am I trying to say? That suite. So I think that Workspace is really good. The other thing is that, you can use if it was at Carrie Dyer Travel, so it's still Gmail, you still know how to work within it. It doesn't feel weird and foreign, but you can use your own, URL that you have for your own email address. You can have several email addresses in there. It can all tie into one email box if you're working with a team. So it's just really, really flexible according to all those things.
Yeah, and I know Google's one of these technology giants that seems to be invading every part of your life. But it does, having Google function a number of different ways in your life and your workspace seems to be nice because things are easily dragged over. You can use your phone, you can use your tablet, your computer, things like that. So I use Google. I love Google, and I'm going to take that advice too with Google Workspace myself. Well,
and I would say that so many of these apps that we've talked about today, Chrome is on the forefront of being the most compatible with them. So, I mean, I automatically default to Safari when I'm on my cell phone, but I will tell you, Chrome is really ahead of the game as far as compatibility with so many things that make your life easier.
Okay, yeah. All right. So what about Trello and Asana? I know I've spoken to people this week actually who told me a little bit about Trello, but what kind of functions would they serve?
Trello and Asana are both task management tools. And so you can make them as big or as little as you'd like them to be. They work really well with teams. So, if you're adding staff or if you have other ICs that are working with you, or if you have a partner in your business, Trello and Asana are both great at that. So they can help you both in your own task management, but they can also help you with the client journey. Now, this can tie into TravelJoy also, because TravelJoy is also very much about the client journey and how you're doing the tasks and going along the way. But if you're not, if you don't need that full CRM of TravelJoy, Asana and Trello are both great for that. One plug for both of them, and actually for a lot of these apps, same for Calendly, same for Toggle and Clockify, which we'll talk about with time management maybe, but the free version is fine. You don't have to necessarily have a pro subscription. We have one of our advisors and she has a $10 million book of business. She has 5 people on her team and she uses the free version of Asana. So don't assume you have to buy the pro version of all of these things. If they have a basic entry level complimentary version that you can use, try it. If it's getting you where you need to go, don't spend the money.
So I was hoping you could tell me, because that piqued my interest. You said they incorporate with Teams. My team uses Teams to communicate. I mean, how easily do they connect with Teams and what kind of functions do they perform?
Actually, I'm glad you clarified that. I didn't mean Microsoft Teams. I meant if you have a team. If you have coordinators, if you have other people who are booking travel, sorry, I'm glad you clarified that. I have no idea how they interact with Teams. Microsoft Teams. Sorry.
Yeah. All right, no, that's completely fine. All right,
But
yeah. So
Google Suite does have the Google Meet, so that crosses off needing to have Zoom as another thing. So that's just one more plug for the Google Workspace.
all right, perfect. Yeah, I know. Like you mentioned, like everyone has Microsoft. Google seems to want to compete with that sort of functionality across workspaces, things like that. So is it interesting you can add here or there and pick and choose and customize your work experience.
For sure.
So there's two more tools we want to talk about with organization and task management. You spoke a little bit about how well YouTube can work into your life and into your work life when it comes to knowing tasks. And I know we want to talk about YouTube. We want to talk about QuickBooks, which I'm sure a lot of people are already familiar with. Yeah.
So the only reason why I mentioned YouTube is because of that resource of learning how to do something. Back to the very beginning of, if the information is there, go to YouTube and find it. And there will be a how-to on anything that you're trying to learn. And don't do a how-to on everything. Narrow down, spend your time on the website as far as any of these applications that you're looking for. Narrow it down to 2 that work for you, and then do the videos, engage, and see, okay, what really resonates with me. And bottom line, what's something I think I can actually understand and I'm going to incorporate and use.
Okay. So I have a question about YouTube. I was hoping, so I use YouTube a lot, for the tutorials, like how to fix something. Maybe it's going on in my house or going on with, my car, whatever. And I also use it a lot for cooking and things like that. How do you discern what video is the right video to watch? Because I know there's a million results for every search. I know that it's an open forum, so people can upload whatever they want. But I mean, how is it just about the algorithm working its way through the right information and wrong information? I mean, or do you have any tips on how to discern which one's most appropriate?
I think the reason why ratings are good is because they're a good place to go, right? So I think I would do a balance of the most recent.
Okay.
Because things change so much and different applications are adding on different dimensions, different tools, different ways to use it. So I would try to have a balance of the most recent and the most likes.
Okay. Yeah, because I know it can sort of be like drinking from a fire hose sometimes going on YouTube.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And also, listen, I'm the one who picks wine bottles because of the pretty label. So if there is a YouTube that is visually appealing to you and their voice sounds good and they're not annoying you, go for it.
Yeah.
That means something too.
I will say myself, there are a lot of really great they call themselves creators on YouTube. So the creators, I think you sort of build a quasi relationship with them in your mind, like the ones you trust, the ones you don't trust. So it is like you mentioned, starting things off slowly. I think that's a good advice if someone is feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah.
All right. So we want to talk about client care, and you mentioned time tracking and website development too. So we have a little over 10 minutes. Hopefully we can get to all of them, but let's talk about client care first.
Okay.
What do you want people to get out of the tools you present on client care?
So I think that Travel Joy, everybody's familiar with Travel Joy. I think I love it as a CRM because it is a great way to communicate with your clients. It is a great way for you to have the client journey so that you are organized in how you're keeping track of everything that's happening. Travel Joy is a very good organizational tool for that. So I think people are familiar with it. I think they know it. It's $300 a year, big deal. And yet it's very robust and it does a lot. They have awesome training videos also. So there's a plug for them. And then I put Loom, as we were creating these categories, I put Loom under client care. And Loom is the ability to make videos that they look very professional, but they're so easy to do and they're so easy to share. And one of our advisors had the best idea. What she ends up doing is she has the Access itinerary open on her desktop, and then she's creating a Loom. And so her little circle is in the corner and she's guiding the client through the Access itinerary with an explanation. She's not going through every bullet because they can read, they can understand what's going on, but she's highlighting certain things, whether it's super cool or whether it's now, I'm telling you, this is tricky. Make sure to look for the black car service here, not here. And I mean, ideally, you're going to want to get on the phone with a client before they go on their trip. But guess what? Not everybody wants to get on the phone. Not everybody wants to take the time. And I just thought this was a super clever way to have that personal touch with a client that is super easy for the advisor to do and really stands out with the client.
So yeah, I mean, that is a great point, because I know I've heard so many stories about people waiting for their driver to pick them up and they're at the wrong terminal. Maybe their cell phone's out, maybe they don't know the country code for some reason, they can't communicate with drivers. So that is, yeah, that's really great. But so Loom, so the advisor you were speaking about, she'll create the videos and just add them as part of their pre-trip itinerary, so they can just watch them and familiarize themselves with the itinerary. And
she'll do it probably like 2 weeks before they travel, assuming that they watch it. And then when they have questions, because again, the cobbler's children have no shoes. I'm the one who has been in travel my whole career, and I don't open I have a Brownell advisor as my travel advisor. And I open that access itinerary like as I land in Hawaii, which is terrible. And so by sending that ahead of time and having that interaction of the video, it gets people thinking about the itinerary, and now they're thinking about the questions that they have before they leave. And so it ends up helping the advisor also, because they're able to get ahead of the trip and anticipate any bumps that might happen.
It does feel like it would help an advisor connect personally with the client too, because you're automatically registering the client's voice, the client's face in your mind, or the advisor's voice and face in your mind. Yes.
And especially on referrals, you know, if people don't want to get on a Zoom call, but you've had the initial introduction phone call, right? And you want to do a wrap up, you know, hey, Liz and Tom, I'm so excited that I met you. Your honeymoon sounds outstanding. I can't wait to get to work. These are the takeaways that I had from our meeting. These are the 3 priorities. I can't wait to get to work on it. And I'll be back to you soon. It's a 30-second video that's warm and your face that you can send to them. And it's just sort of a further marketing tool for you. And it creates warmth and engagement for that relationship.
Yeah, that is one I never heard of, and one that you really, that is really incredible that it does that. And it does seem like it's so valuable for advisors too.
It also works too if you do have a team. So, you know, if that you wanted to explain something to your team, or it was just a quick, hey guys, I'm headed out the door. I wanted to point out these 3 things that I've got pending in TravelJoy, or hey, go to this tab in Asana and check this out, because inevitably we're at our desks at 11 o'clock at night before the 6 a.m. car pickup, cleaning up everything that we're supposed to do. It's just a neat way also to communicate with people on your team too.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be too hard on yourself, Carrie. I do the same thing when I'm traveling too. You know, when I'm about to land, I'm looking at where am I supposed to go. Yeah, Michelle
Loom is more professional. Michelle was asking about that. So you're right, Michelle. I mean, if it's your team, but anytime I try to use my phone, I mean, I am Blair Witch Project for sure. I'm dating myself for anybody who doesn't know what that is, but it's like the shakiest, worst video on the planet. And Loom, it feels a little bit more professional. So that's my thought.
Yeah.
Yes, Loom does integrate with Constant Contact and Canva.
All right, perfect. All right, so we have maybe 1 or 2 more things, and hopefully there's a couple things I want to ask you about at the end, Carrie, but we want to talk about time tracking. And we were just having this discussion about how important time tracking has gotten. Time blocking, I guess it was the term I used, but I've heard so many advisors now being forced to work smarter, and a lot of them are doing so by time blocking, by time tracking, simply because it would be impossible to deal with all the inquiries coming in anyway. Can you talk to us a little bit about that, a little bit about time tracking?
Sure. Well, so time blocking is that idea that we were saying of creating space on your calendar, right? So I would say whenever you're creating your calendar, don't include a Monday or a Friday, because in our world, those are the 2 days that you have the least control over, because clients are either coming back from the weekend and want to do something, or they're heading out for the weekend and who knows what's going to happen. So keep those days open. If you're going to block projects, whether it's marketing, cleaning up your contact lists, working on RFPs that you're sending out, working on the access itineraries, whatever those are. It's super helpful to time block those so that you'll get to it. And what that means is you're turning off your email. You're closing it. You're not watching everything that's coming in, because that is, again, pushing you to be reactive instead of proactive. If you have a 2-hour timeout, I mean, unless you know that a client has a very tricky connection that's happening during that time and you want to be available, then move that block and put it somewhere else. We have another advisor who is using Motion, which is an AI tool that manages your calendar for you and tells you of your tasks. And if you skipped it, it'll remove it. Don't ask me a lot of questions because I don't know. She is a brilliant millennial, maybe Gen Zer. So she's way ahead on that than me, but it's called Motion and it's a great AI calendar tool. So something to think about. So that's time blocking. Time tracking. So there are 2 applications that our advisors are using. One is called Toggle, Toggl, and then the other one is called Clockify. And why these are important is, one, measuring your team productivity. So again, if you have other people on your team and you want to just make sure that they're efficient, it's a good way to do it. I love it for your own efficiencies. Because what you can do is, and it's not hard to do, I promise you, you think that you're wasting time by trying to track time. And so therefore that circular idea of inefficiency is there. It's not, it's really easy to do. And if you have a hunch that Dan McCarthy is exhausting as a client, and he is taking far more time than the ROI necessary for that, track them and see, and then compare it against the margins that you have with Dan. And if you come out and you're like, actually, he's real chatty and very indecisive, but in the end, it's worthwhile. The other thing is yourself. How long am I spending on access itineraries? How long am I spending on marketing? Guess what? I spend a lot of time on it that probably isn't necessary. I need to outsource that. So it's not to say that Toggle and Clockify are something that you have to have always. I think that they can be a moment in time of a tool to quantify or measure whatever it is that you need to measure that's going to lead to another efficiency in your business.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, I have Motion written down. I see Motion in the chat too. We had a recommendation on Motion. Yeah, it does seem like we spoke about the data you get from Constant Contact to, alter your marketing going forward to make that more efficient. But having data on yourself seems to be something that maybe people overlook, because you're always doing things by feelings, maybe gut feelings, maybe instincts, but actually having data to make a decision about how you work seems to be an incredibly important tool.
For sure. And even things like your Zoom or your calendar may automatically default to an hour-long call. Why do you need an hour-long call? You don't. So, and that's where Calendly comes up too, of scheduling is so much easier with Calendly. I struggled with it for a very long time because it felt impersonal to me. But you can still be very personal in the email of, I'm so excited to talk to you. I know we both have busy schedules, so I think it's going to be easiest to give you a glimpse into my entire calendar and you pick a time that works for you. Really, you're picking a time that works for you, but you're playing it as though you're doing it for them. And it's a much better way to keep organized. There is a base level Calendly, again, that's free. This is a place where I would say spend the money, because you can have your different kind of calls. You can have a partner pre-trip call. You can have a client cup of coffee call. You can have, so you can schedule those in the different amount of times that you need to help you organize your calendar.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to grab this question from Samantha and Angela. Yes, I promise I'll personally do it. I'll get this all in maybe an article on TMR we can share with everyone on this call, and you'll have this information in text. It might be a little easier to go over the links. But Samantha asks, any recommendations on website builders that integrate with some of these suggested apps and websites? And then we talked a little bit about websites, but anything for Samantha?
Well, so a lot of the websites will integrate with Constant Contact or others, and TravelJoy, where when you have signups, they will pull those and they will put those straight into your CRM or straight into your email database. I'm trying to think about any other applications where that would make sense, but I think maybe that's mostly what you're talking about.
All right. If we can maybe grab one or two more questions. And yes, this webinar is recorded. We're being recorded right now, and we'll get the video out tomorrow morning in TMR's newsletter. But Carrie, something I didn't think we needed to speak about just because I hear it from so many advisors. I know they're using it, but I was hoping you could just get your thoughts on it because it does seem like a tool that it's just people used a few years ago and people shouldn't forget about simply because it's kind of not old, but familiar. And that's Canva. You mentioned Canva a little bit. Yeah, it does seem like something, especially the new advisors, should just be so aware of.
Yes. Oh, I mean, first of all, I don't think there's anything better yet. Second of all, it fits everyone. So we have a marketing team of 3 people. These are experienced marketers. They use Canva. We also have people who, were former accountants or attorneys who have never done a design thing in their entire life, and they love Canva and they can use it. So that's what I think is great, is that it meets you wherever you are from a design component. And I think it's great. And I think it's really worth it. And it could be everything you want it to be or don't want it to be.
Yeah. All right. So Carrie, I want to ask you, we're going to wrap up in a second here, but I want to ask you, we've been through so many tools today. I mean, what ones are a part of your daily life that you maybe couldn't live without? I know like Google Suite is important for people on Google. You just kind of goes in the back of your head, but is there any one of these tools that we spoke about today that you think is the most important for you, the one that you use the most, the one that saves you or makes you most efficient?
I would say for me, I
Yeah.
would probably say Trello and Calendly are probably the 2 most. For our travel advisors, it's absolutely Travel Joy and then whatever social media planning tool they have. And I do see Patrick McGill, I've got to clarify, no, Constant Contact and Travel Joy do not integrate. I was saying that there are websites that will integrate with both Constant Contact directly or Travel Joy directly, but not those 2.
All right. So I just want to say, Carrie, we have a lot of these master advisors and we do a lot of them on trends and sort of discussions of the industry. But the ones we do like this one, like the one who's like actual tools people can take away are always my favorite. And I just want to thank you so much because I have a lot of stuff written down I'm going to start doing tomorrow morning when I log on to work. And
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And don't be overwhelmed. That's the thing. And don't be overwhelmed. Do your research. And if it's working for you, don't feel like you have to change just because something latest and greatest has come out.
Yeah, and I'll just remind everyone that we will have this video available. You can rewatch on YouTube, and we'll do our best to get a written list of these tools out so you can have that on hand. And Carrie, again, thank you so much. This really was one of my favorite sessions I've done, and I really hope to have you back maybe before the end of the year or early next year to talk about anything else that might have popped up on your radar too.
I would love it. Thanks for keeping me on your radar. It's been a great time. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Daniel Durazo and Allianz for helping us out today too. And thanks to everyone who attended today. We hope to see you in a couple weeks with Vanessa McGovern. But until then, I hope everyone stays healthy and happy. And yeah, we'll see you all soon.
Bye.